On today's show, I'm interviewing Mia Kafkios. I've worked with Mia in the past. I'm aware of a lot of what she does and how she does it. And it's quite different from how many people in this field work. She talks in light language. She's extremely spiritual. Everything is about her connection. I've worked on her dreams and I've never seen this before. It was the first time I ever saw the path to enlightenment being shown in a dream. Mia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
How did you come across the approach that you have? There's many people working in the spiritual field, and I believe many people working in the light and working for God, and they have their own way of expressing their work and helping people. But I do find yours quite unique. Tell me a little bit about how you do it and how long you've been doing this.
I know that I already, when I was 5 years old, I was looking for my father's highest potential and my mother's highest potential. And I was seeing it. I was trying to tell them that. I saw their auras. They were not using their highest potential. So already then, I tried to explain to them what their gifts and highest potential were, and that continued throughout my life. Became more significant when I was like 17. Became an aerobic instructor and then yoga teacher, and it just continued. I was a physical education teacher, so it was all the time about seeing people's highest potential and even my partner's highest potential. Yeah, I've done it all my life in different ways. And once I fully stepped into the spiritual path, I understood that I heard my guides loud and clear.
I find it
Surrender.
I find it funny to think that at 5 years old you'd be sitting your dad down and saying, "This is where you lost the argument, Dad."
That's what I did. Seeing people's highest potential was so much easier once I stepped into the spiritual path because
It's
then
built
it
into
was
you.
even, yeah, more okay to say it straightforward. It was like, boom, this is what was channeled.
When you stepped into doing the spiritual work, was it always group work?
Yeah, it was simultaneously like once I did individual work, I understood that okay, doing this in group needs to be done because they need to be challenged. They need to see who they are in a group field. And I was doing group psychology when I was training to become a psychologist and therapist. So yeah, pretty fast I started to do groups, especially women's circles and stuff, because I saw that there's so much power when in the human experience we come together and we need to meet the shadow aspects that we can hide from when we don't are when we're not together.
I totally agree. I've tried my own work with the groups and without the groups. It's not just double the speed when there's a group involved, private and group.
Yeah.
It really accelerates the healing journey for a person. At what point did you say, I am willing to get in front of people and channel healing messages for them?
That is not too long ago. It's maybe four 4 or 5 years that I really said, now I'm gonna channel. I knew I was channeling when I was doing my yin yoga classes like 8, 10 years ago because it was fully packed. People were standing in line to come in because they were like, I don't know what's happened on your yin yoga classes. I lay down and I see my past lives and my father is coming and this is coming and this is coming. So I understood I was channeling already then, but I didn't say it straightforward. So, but it's just 4 years ago I said this is a channeled session, and kind of like 10 years ago I understood I was channeling.
So
Mm.
you kept it secret for a little while. I should say,
Yeah,
you actually owned a gym
yeah,
with
a
classes.
couple of gyms,
Yeah.
actually 7 of them.
Oh, okay. Since you've been working in the spiritual field for so long, what do you see shifting in the spiritual field? Because there definitely is an acceleration that's been going on for the past, I don't know, 3 years for sure.
Yeah, I think it's so incredibly interesting to watch this, and this is just what I see. I don't say it's the truth, but I see that we as teachers, channelers, healers are finally understanding that we are not here to fix anyone. We are here to give back the power to each and everyone that comes to a session or to a group. And I thank God that is changing now, because if I look at my sessions like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, I was channeling past lifetimes, future timelines, everything that they needed to clear, and cutting cords, fixing, and they became dependent on me, on my work, and the next healer, the next channeler, the next therapist, even in the psychological field. But now I feel what I'm teaching to my students and to my clients is giving them back their power and more teaching and activating self-mastery. Um, that's what I'm seeing, and I also feel that that's really needed. How can we educate each and every person on this planet so they don't need to run to 10,000 healers and channelers? Of course, we
Yeah.
can go there every now and then, but we want everyone to become sovereign, free, and also like really understanding how to center, how to clear, how to check the field. So I feel that, yeah, that's the biggest change. We don't want to give away our power anymore. We're kind of done with that. And also I also feel that in the spiritual field that we really understand that we need to run everything through our truth system. We cannot just listen to someone doing a live or going to a session and just like, okay, do whatever you want with my field. We understand that we have a responsibility to run things through our truth system, and it's not just to receive a energy work here and there. Someone texts you, do you want me to clear your field? And you're like, yeah, bring it on, give me some entities and implants. So thank God this is changing.
Do you think it's because of your previous work of deeply understanding the psychology of a person, how the mind works and how we hold on to things, how we can get dependent, even addicted to somebody helping us? And
Oh, yes.
instead of being helped, we can actually get to a point of being incapacitated and can't make a decision without referencing our counselor. Is it because you got to a certain level of understanding of all of that that you stepped above it? And
Yeah,
said, okay,
because I
this,
was very dependent to all the sessions I was going to, like really taking anyone I could, to just get validation, always hearing the same thing, but also becoming dependent in not checking with myself, with my higher self. But also, I was also feeling that as a healer and a channeler and a therapist in the beginning, maybe 10 years, 12 years ago, as I was a codependent, I also, of course, attracted codependent
right.
clients. So we were like, oh, like really just sourcing from each other, like really leaking energy. And yeah, like I could have them for like 10 years. I don't think that's very healthy, but that changed
I'm putting
from
you
my
on the spot
experience.
here because it's been some time. When you were working with me, obviously I'm looking at your dreams. So it's really a connection with source because that's where your dreams are coming from. Did it give you insights into yourself that helped you?
Yeah, the dreams helped me a lot. I mean, the moment I knew you popped up everywhere, and I understood like, okay, there's something about Michael Sheridan that my teams, my family of light, my guides and God wants me to see. And then of course, I started your course and I started to do the dreams, and they showed me over and over again something that I was kind of trying to run away from, and that was especially like the spiritual teacher part, the gifts. Of course, I could understand the gifts. Of course, I also saw the things that I hadn't healed fully with my father that I thought that I had healed, that of course was blocking me from fully stepping into the mission I had. So there was many different things with the dreams, and also learning the basics because the higher self keeps talking to me through the dreams. So now I know to listen.
I think it is getting easier for people to do the work. Everything's expanding and things aren't as wedged in anymore. So it's easier to help somebody. But I think also with the expansion, the worries and other things that people have expand. So it's more necessary now than ever to watch how you think, to watch the feelings that you're letting manifest. What do you see that your students and clients need most at this time?
Like, there's this huge need to see other people that have actually done the work and live the dream that they have. I think all of us within us, we know that there's more freedom to access, more abundance, more joy, more ease and grace. Ease and grace is something that is our birthright, actually. It's really our birthright. God keeps telling me that all the time. We shouldn't struggle and we shouldn't sacrifice, that's not the true. It's something that has been implanted in us. So I see that the students, because they are already healers usually, but they feel a little bit lost, is that they need someone that really lives and walks the talks. And I think we're missing that a lot. So, I mean, of course, they need more than that, but that's a very important thing. Many times I think like, well, they know everything, but they just want someone that really holds the space, that allows everything to come up to the surface. And they also look for authenticity. I think now we are getting so awakened that our whole energy field knows when something is authentic and when something is inauthentic, and we search for authenticity on all levels. So if we find someone that seems to be authentic and even kind of wants to trigger us into more authenticity, that I feel I'm a trigger point, then it's like, okay, let's go there, because I can't live in any lie anymore.
I like that. They say that you become the average of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. And so if you want to grow spiritually and become more empowered into who you are, discovering who you are, then you need to be hanging around people who've done that journey or are on that journey with you. And I think one of the great things about the work you do is you have a great tribe. Your community is very active, very much in contact with each other and very supportive of each other. I certainly have seen lots of them who have started their own practices, which is very encouraging to see. Here's a big question. And a lot of people talk about this, but I don't ever talk about it on my show. So you are the first that I'm asking.
Wow.
What is the awakening?
I think awakening for me is when we really step in to awakening to who we are. No more sleeping. So the awakening is when we understand that when we are not changing, when we're not allowing change, when we're not allowing transformance, when we don't understand that everything that is happening for us is for us to keep awakening, keep raising our frequency, and keep raising our consciousness level. If we don't understand that, we are asleep. And the awakening is all about raising the consciousness level and keep awakening to the next level of consciousness, the next dimension and frequency ready to be lived from. And the awakening is not only on a spiritual level, as I see it. It needs to be on a physical level. It needs to be on an emotional and mental level also. I see many being awakening on a spiritual level, and some people being awakened from the matrix and the 3D world and stuff, but it needs to be all together. I really see it needs to be in all energy bodies. And maybe we start with one of them. Maybe we start awakening emotionally or mentally or spiritually, but it needs to be all of it together. And the awakening, to really answer your question, is to awaken back to who you came here to be. Like that's at least what God says. Wake up, remember who you came here to be.
Is there an urgency to people waking up now?
It is an urgency, because what I have received as a continuous information is that we came here. This is the lifetime where we have chosen to clear kind of all the karma. We have an opportunity, at least, to clear a lot of karma. We have this lifetime, many of us, where we are actually very free. We have this physical body and emotional and mental energy body that is so ready to expand beyond, and this is the place to be. It's earth, right? It's on earth where we can use our vessel and everything. And if we don't do that, if we don't step into our dharma, if we don't step into why we came here, we will feel that it's it's useless to be here. If we don't feel that we make a difference, that's my experience. If we don't feel that we make a difference when we wake up in the morning, we will feel that life is meaningless, and meaningless is dangerous. Feeling this meaninglessness is falling back to sleep, and that's where different kind of energies plugs into us, and we lose ourselves and go back to sleep.
Well, that felt like a punch when you said that. I was thinking along the lines of, okay, I'm going to search for that more. What is that more? And then you said, no, go back to sleep, sedate yourself with the horrible things that we do to ourselves. But yeah, we can either take it as a catalyst or we can run a mile. But hopefully we take how we feel about there's more to life, take it as a catalyst and look and search. And do you come across anything in your work that shows that the earth itself is raising in vibration? As the earth raises, it's going to allow us in an easier way than ever before to let go of the things that hold us back, whether it's mental, physical, or emotional, and embrace the higher aspects of ourselves, the godlike aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. God always wants me to anchor into Mother Earth and say yes to be here. It's very important, He says, and God says to go down, anchor, and say yes to anchor down your blueprint. So every time I go down there, I always check how is her frequency, and she's changing. Sometimes she's actually purging massively, but
Right.
her frequency is absolutely raising, and she is very, very happy that she has many souls like us that co-creates with her. She was very tired. We have so many past lifetimes that we have been blaming her for, and blaming Earth and being here and so on and so on. But the more we ascend, the more we understand, we connect to her, we heal ourselves, we heal her, and the whole frequency of the planet has absolutely, it's just racing and racing and racing. I mean, you've been in the field for a long time too, Michael, so you're probably seeing how fast everything goes. I mean, for us, it's a little bit like Christmas. It's so much more fun to work now. It's what I can do in one session now is like I had a webinar activating more Christ consciousness. We were 350 or something, and I get so overwhelmed every time. What happens when we come together, co-create with kind of the same intention to activate the codes of Christ consciousness, which we have inside of us, and then in the end, spread it out to Mother Earth and assist all beings that are ready to receive the codes. That's amazing. In 90 minutes, I feel like we actually really could affect the vibration of this planet. I mean, that's huge,
It is
right?
huge. It is huge. Following on from that, how do you feel you support your own people at this moment in this awakening?
Yeah, I try to give out as much free material as possible. So I'm always doing at least one energetic live on Facebook where I really just channel what's going on energetically now, because we do need validation, because sometimes we feel like an alien around the people that we are, and when we hear someone actually saying that this is what happens energetically, we can exhale and we can trust more of the journey. I also do a lot of like light language activations on my Instagram, and I have a lot of meditations on my YouTube channel, activations for clearing. That's how I try to assist. And then of course, whatever my family of light and my guides want me to do as a monthly webinar, I do, even if it's the most craziest theme. And I'm like, you honestly want me to do this? Like, who is gonna come to this? And then I do it. So that's what I'm doing, and trying to also share. I always share my challenges. I try to be really honest with what I'm going through. Some days of purging, sharing also my journey that has been extreme. So that's how I try to contribute.
What do you see today as the biggest challenges that people have, thinking that the conventional world is the world that I should have all my focus on? What is the biggest challenge to recognizing who you really are and what you need to do to step into discovering yourself?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that the biggest challenge is to surrender, let go, and trust. that's it. I see it in steps, and that's how it was for me. I understood that, okay, wow, this thing about letting go and surrender sounds good, Let's read about it. How do you do? And you kind of like start to resonate with it. But it takes so many years to finally start to live it. But there's this moment where you need to use your divine free will and say, I'm now ready to live a more spiritual life. And with that means that I'm not the one in charge in that way. I need to let go and surrender and allow things to come to me. I think that is the hardest part for people, to let go and surrender, because we have so many lifetimes, so many ancestral lineages, and so many experiences since childhood where we were taught to have control, to plan, to structure, to know where we're going, you need to execute. And suddenly the whole spiritual path, as I see it, is about a lot about surrendering, letting go, and trusting, and allow everything to come to you, actually. And of course, once you get the message, you need to execute. You cannot just like lay back and everything happens, but let go, surrender. And when you feel that there's a longing, when you're receiving a message over and over again through dreams, through meditation, through your guides, in whatever way, you hear songs and all these things, you see numbers. When you receive message and then this longing inside of you is awakening and strengthening and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, then it's so important to connect, as you say, with the people that there, and do this thing about letting go and trusting and surrendering, and then start to walk on that path. But I think that is the most challenging thing.
Like you were sharing earlier, that you surrendered to God's will in January and said, okay, whatever you want me to do, I will do. That's, I think, probably out of most people's reach. Even the people who say it, because it's so scary, is because we want to control. We want to say, okay, I know where my food's coming from. I know where my house is coming from. I know where my relationship is coming from. And to fully surrender is to say, okay, I'm not going to control any of that. I'm just going to go in the direction that spirit pushes me.
Yeah, I mean, I really do that. I really, really do it in an extended level that I think is a little bit uncomfortable for people. My staff, I have like 5 people working for me. I have a company partner, and it's intense for them. They are like, okay, hello, what about next year? I'm like, I don't know. I I cannot plan anything. Like honestly, my guides and God said, this is my last teacher training that I'm having. I just started. And I trust that. In February, they said to me, no more private sessions. And I listened. I cried. I cried. I felt so bad to all. I was fully booked for months. I needed to pay back so much money. And I felt like, whoa, how can I do this to the people? But there's a higher plan, a much higher, greater plan. And there's a lot of love to receive, a lot of safety the moment we let go and surrender, because suddenly we open doors open,
Yeah.
right?
And it
when
certainly
when
did for
we
you this year. You've had tremendous success sharing stages with Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra and many others. Like you could just list off, I think there was about 7 names on a list I saw of a stage you were on. And I'm like, oh, wow, these are all people at the top of this field. At least we would consider it to be at the top of this field.
Yeah,
And that came to you after surrendering.
yes, it came to me after surrendering, and also surrendering to, I mean, my course has been my baby, my training. I created it by channel all the information, and I have so many that I know that wants to go to this course. Also, all my private sessions were so successful and stuff like that. But really letting go of something that you love, even relationships and stuff, because God and the family of light say it's done. It's for the highest for everyone involved. If you end this now, and then do it. And as you say, suddenly, I actually could assist even more. I thought, having my students would also like help me through them, assisting hundreds and hundreds, but suddenly this doors open and next year I'm booked to different congresses all over the world where it's going to be like 1,500 people on each session. So I'm very happy to be able to share whatever comes through because I feel crazy enough to trust what comes.
I like how
So,
you say it, feeling crazy enough, but I also like how it emphasizes the letting go is first, that you have to let go of something in order to create the space for something new to come in. And what we want to do is hold on and then bring the new thing in.
yeah,
And there isn't the space
exactly.
for two things. And so your story is the perfect example of why you should trust. And I like how you say it, that it seems crazy, and everybody around you, they're like, you're crazy. What are our plans? We need plans. We need concreteness. We need security. And the spirit world doesn't operate in those terms. And it shows up in dreams. You're walking along a path, but the stairs isn't finished. But just as you get to the top step that's there, a vehicle shows up and takes you over to the next place you need to be. And it just seems like these crazy connections that end up just always working out. And that's the dharmic path. And that's clearly the path you're on. But it does take that trust. But when you get into that space, it feels like this is the only space you should ever be in. It doesn't feel crazy to the person in the space. It's just to everybody else, because we're all sitting on the outside saying, we need structure. We need to know where we're going to be, because ultimately what we're saying is we don't trust spirit enough to be in the space you're in. So it is funny to be where you are, have the clarity, and then help other people get your clarity. How can people become part of your community?
Yes, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Grow by Mia, my Facebook, Grow by Mia, and Instagram, Grow by Mia _official, because it was hijacked. My website also, growbymia.com. I share as much as I can there, and there's different things that you can involve in and hang around and stay tuned to whatever, they want me to do.
I'm going to leave the last word with you. What would you like to leave people with?
Really would like to say that everything, I mean, even if we hear this over and over again, just really start to trust that everything happens for you. It never happened against you or to you in that way. Everything happens for you. And the moment we start to understand, like really start to understand and trust and want to trust that, our nervous systems can start to relax and we can tap into synchronicity. And we start to see, feel, hear synchronicity wherever we are. And that's when we can move into ease and grace. So just remember that everything happens for you, even the most painful, most challenging experiences is because you are ready for it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mia.